Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we're going to take a look at the new free-to-play immovable fortress Geld. So I think, he's good. He's not super great like some of the other free-to-play characters. He's certainly not trash like some of the other free-to-play units. Did I say protectors? I meant battle units. But he's a good kind of in between. He is a little bit limited, but his second skill is quite powerful. Now I don't have his gear done, not that it really matters all that much, so I'm just going to give him the great sword that I have on Wind Shizu. But he is Wind, he's physical, Protector of Peace, Tempest Elite, Determination to Prosper, and the Flashback Emissary category that all the free-to-play characters are on. He is a defense type, so he is not going to be hitting super great numbers, and he's not meant to do such things. He's meant to support with orb conversions and other orb buffs. He is an AoE, ups guard power, okay, cool, whatever. His first skill is his limitation. Changes Protector of Peace character orbs, two of them, into greens, and then a 10% gauge increase. So just like Primal Demon Misery or Exalted Champion Veldora, he only changes a very specific set of orbs. So if you're running him on a team that is not full of Protectors of Peace, he's only really going to change his own orbs, which we have found ways around by using Exalted Champion Veldora, so I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it does limit him to, I mean, if you're not optimizing your team for Protectors of Peace, it does get kind of difficult. But his second skill increases green orb skill point gain until the end of battle by 50% up to 500. And that is typically what green stacking protectors do, or blue stacking protectors for that matter. They took that SP gain on whatever color orb they're focusing on and made it into a battle skill. And they cut it in half, essentially. So you're only stacking 50% per time instead of 100% per use, like Overlord Rimuru or Commander Renard, Ogre's Pride, Benimaru. Like, they're giving 100% skill point increases to their orbs. Geld's doing 50. But it's only a 15-point skill. And if you're running Protectors of Peace, it's getting reset pretty much every turn, so it's always going to cost 15. So that's why they cut it in half. It's still quite a bit. Green orbs already give you the most amount of skill points. This means that you're going to get even more now, which really helps out a lot of green teams that you're not running a buffer on, and you want this Geld instead. The best I can think of would be the first anniversary Dark team. Like, yes, you have Isis, 50% increase is great, but a permanent increase is even better. And then also lowers weakness resistance till the end of battle by 10%. This is good for anybody. As long as whatever nuking character you're using has type advantage over whatever enemy you're fighting, this weakness resistance down will help that character. So he is supporting by orb changing, he is supporting by giving your greens extra skill points, and he's supporting by lowering the enemy's weakness resistance, which isn't very powerful, but it does help a bit, and it's better than nothing. So his Valor trait nerfs oranges, his actual trait is guard rate on greens, okay, cool, whatever, that's not important. Free-to-play characters don't have good traits, but these skills I think are fairly good. So let's go and test them out. Alright, starting out, we're going to go with the Protectors of Peace team into EX2, Masayuki, Rimuru, the Masked Hero. She's going to be our only alt-swapping character, but she is on the Force. And then we got Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, he's old. And then free-to-play Isis, because I want to show that we can stack both Geld and Isis skills together. We're running skill point units under the second two slots, so Lumi and Soe. This means we start with 42 skill points, so we can use the Geld orb change and his green buff turn 1, or the Isis buff, doesn't really matter. But this will help us use 2 skills in the first turn to help us really build up quicker. Okay, so turn 1, Geld is in slot 2 because he needs one of these 2 orbs, at least one of them. Isis is not on Protectors of Peace, so she would not participate in the orb change, so we'd only change 1 right now. But let's use the Isis buff now, so we can get some extra protection gauge, and then we'll bring Rimuru in for Isis, and now that we have 2 Protectors of Peace units, now they both get changed. Now it actually matters. And so that's the deal. Right here, this front 3 line, this is an entire Protectors of Peace lineup. So, no matter what orb we get next turn, Geld will be able to change at least 2 of them to greens. If we brought Isis and Fountain of Wisdom Rimuru, we'd only have 1 character. So here, I mean, it works out fairly well, especially with Masayuki. So we've already got the gauge increase, so we got the Protector right here. We can then reset Geld back down, and then because our front line is all Protectors of Peace, we can use his skill twice if we wanted to. So let's do 1, boom, and then these 2 blues. I mean, we could use them again, but let's just bring Isis in because it's just easier to do that. So we'll bring Isis, we'll change those 2, boom, and now we're going to use his skill point. So 50% skill points, max of 500, so you have to use it quite a few times to actually get it capped out, but also lowers weakness resistance until the end of battle by 10%. Now what you could do is you could use this skill, and each time you put it on a different character and just rotate back and forth, so everyone ends up having probably around 20 to 30% weakness strike. Or for funsies onesies, you could just stack it on a single character, because we're not losing much damage, but you'll just see the impact it has versus no stacks versus like 8 or 9 stacks. But if we check the green orbs, gauge increased by 50% for 2 more turns. That's from Isis, and then the permanent skill point 50% forever. So we are getting 100% extra skill points just from the Isis skill and Geld skill, plus 20 point increase from the orb change from Isis. So these are doing 3 separate things right here. Permanent skill point, temporary skill point, temporary all gauge increase. All of it's together. So we're getting 120% skill points off this hand of greens because of the way the game words orb buffs and how they work together if they're not specifically doing the same thing. So we got a lot of points back. We capped out. Shock surprise. Alright, look at this hand. We have 2 orbs that need to be changed to greens. Well, who can do that? Geld can do that. Isis, get out of here. We'll bring the hero in, because we also need her to alt swap away. But let's first reset, that way everyone has as low cost skills as possible. And now we'll bring you in for Isis. Her green buff is still active for 1 more turn, but now we have an entire front line of Protectors of Peace, which means Geld changes those. Perfect. So as long as you bring a number of characters, like his orb change is really easy to work with. It's just that when he's the only Protector of Peace, because you need him for a different team, that's when things can get a little rough. But let's again put another stack of the weakness resistance down, and then we need to alt swap with the hero, and then alt swap again, because we have 2 alts here. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's pretty much how he works. And orb change, the green buff. Once we get further into the fight, you'll see that we're getting just a ridiculous amount of skill points every single turn. Alright, this hand, while looks bad, the fact that Geld can change any color orb as long as the Protector of Peace makes it viable. And then we also have Rimuru's orb change, which we haven't even used yet, because we're not really trying to make him the focus, but we can do that now. So he can change one of them. Doesn't matter which one, because everyone up front is, again, Protectors of Peace. And let's see. Orb change, boom. And then we'll alt swap away. Hopefully it hits the Rimuru orb. It does. Alright, so we're going to send this Geld alt. Let's put another stack of the weakness down. Excellent. And we'll send this. And... Oh, I didn't watch his alt. Alright, we'll do it again, because he has another alt. We'll do it again this turn, and I'll turn his animation on. But he's very simple and easy to work with. And even though he has that kind of wonky restriction, I think he is still going to bring some value to other teams. He's only going to work on green teams, because he's only specifically buffing green orbs, which, you know, here and there is not the greatest thing, but it certainly can work. So, orb change one of those, Masayuki to reset, and then hopefully again the alt swap hits Rimuru. And it does not. Okay, so we gotta use it twice. But let's orb change with Geld. Let's orb change Rimuru. Let's put another stack of the weakness and the extra skill points. So now we are up to probably around 250? 200%. 200% skill point gain. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's bring Isis in now for the hero, and let's use her green buff that ended a couple turns ago, but let's reapply it. That way we continue to get Masayuki. Yeah, that's what I like to see. 300 skill points. We would have capped out even if we were at 0. We would have capped out because we are getting so much right now. Okay, that excellent hand right there. We can work with that. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yep, 1 damage. Love to see it, except on Isis because she's not physical, so she's not getting the defensive buffs from Masayuki. Not a big deal. All right, you get back in here. Boom. Even though they're oranges, like if they were blues, we could have used Isis, but they weren't blues, so we're SOL on that front. But reset. Lower Geld skill cost down again. Orb change, another stack of the weakness resistance. Perfect. And now, let's see what happens here. Okay, perfect again. Alright, let's turn his animations on. And we'll go ahead and send this. We'll send these orbs on over here so we don't take down Adelman too much. Alright, his animation is fairly basic, but it does look good. It does look pretty good. This aura, he jumps up, and then all I forget what they're called. Little snakehead things pop out. 39k, I mean, we aren't buffed really at all. We've been getting some of the attack buff from Masayuki, but we didn't have the physical or the crit or anything. He's not meant to do damage. He's here to help us change orbs, which he has certainly done, and help us get a lot of points, which he has certainly done. Okay, let's just change this 1 orb here, and then let's put another stack of the weakness resistance down on Adelman. We can use Masayuki because we're probably going to make it back here. Oh, okay, well, oh well. Let's turn this off now. But we can freely send these 2 ults and just leave Rimuru, because I don't think we're in danger of killing without any other additional buffs. So, another stack. I mean, oof, maybe. He has been getting a lot of stacks. Do we get another? Okay, we do. We won't send it then. 1, 2, and 3. Excellent, perfect, awesome. Full hand of oranges, doesn't really matter. But what we have done here is we've now put how much weakness resistance down? 6 stacks of that, which if I was really, really working this, we could do... I've gotten up to 130% weakness resistance down because I've just been spamming the single target or the single orb change with Rimuru. Like, we could do that. And then you'd be spamming the weakness resistance down, so you'd be doubling up. Rimuru would be getting extra weakness strike, this enemy would be getting extra weakness resistance down, so Rimuru, with his single orb change, he's gotten an extra 40%. Plus we got a barrier stone. 3 barrier stones going, jeez, alright. Well, we are hitting harder than normal then. But, I mean, he's gotten that, again, I've gotten those numbers up to 100 plus. So we could do a whole butt-ton more damage here. But, let's AoE, we'll bring Fount of Wisdom Rimuru in for his buff. And then I guess we can try and ult with Geld just for funsies onesies, because he's going to get everything, right? Well, he'll get the guaranteed crits. He won't get the ult damage. But I don't think that's really that important. And because we're on the nuke turn and we have lots of points, let's do a stack here. And then let's use Masayuki, and then let's just spam those skills like we did with Primal Demon Blanc when she came out. Is spam, weakness strike, weakness down, do it again, weakness strike, weakness down. And now that we have a whole butt-ton of points, we're going to have a full hand of greens because we're just changing over and over again, so more weakness strike here. I could have just used Geld's orb change and then another down maybe, or something like that, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, now let's see how much Geld does, and then we'll see how much Rimuru does on his ult. 120k? Whatever, sure. Rimuru does 1.7 versus 1.3 versus 1.5 over there. So, we do more damage. It is noticeable. Even at, what was that? 60, and we used it 2 more times. So we were at 80% weakness strike down on Adelman, and there was an increase in damage versus the other characters who didn't have it. So he is useful. We just have to find a place to make him useful on. Alright, the second and probably final team that we're going to put him on, at least for this, because there aren't a lot of green stacking teams, is the first anniversary Veldora team. Now, the problem that we had when this team originally came out is that it needed another orb changer, because we didn't get a dedicated orange orb changer that actually worked for the friggin' team, because we don't count Diablo, because he was physical for some reason, and he wasn't getting the magic buff from Veldora, so we didn't run him. So we ended up running this kind of setup, with Isis covering blues and Milim covering a special convert, but no one dedicated to oranges. We can now use Geld kind of in that setting, as long as we use him now strategically, by leaving him in the back and bringing him in for whoever has the most orange orbs, and he can convert his own orbs now. And then he's also going to give us the green buff, which this team struggled with getting skill points. Yes, we had Isis giving us the 50% like we had in the last section, but sometimes it wasn't enough. And at that point, you had to stack with Shinsha and her buff, which is only giving us 15% skill points per turn, I think. Maybe it was 5? I might be getting that confused. Okay, it's 15 and 5% crit down. That's okay, I'm flipping them around. But 15%. Yeah, now we're going to be doing 50, 100, 150, 2, and now we're really not going to worry about skill points. And we're not really going to worry about orbs at this point anymore either, which makes him a very good well-rounder for green teams. Okay, I cut to turn 2 because turn 1 was just an orb change, and turn 2 is where all the RNG starts. But we have a decent hand right here. So let's use the orb change for Milim, the orb buff for Isis, and then we can reset using Veldora. And then we can use her orb change again, or we could bring Geld in for Rimuru, and then now that he's got that 1 blue, we could use his orb change and then the permanent skill point buff. And because we are running a team full of dark characters, and Gazel is light, this means that all 4 of the other characters, Milim, Isis, Shinsha, and Rimuru, are going to start doing extra damage against Gazel because he's getting weakness resistance down, and we are weakness, well, we're getting weakness strike because we're type advantage. So he is passively helping us do here and there more and more damage, which definitely does help. And now we're capped out on points, 145. We didn't have a lot after all those skill points, or skills that we used, but we've made it all back. Alright, that's not great. I should have left him in the back for that. Maybe we could, well, I don't really think we could have done much there. So we're just going to burn these orbs. Let's send Geld again away. Boom. And we'll just get these out of here. Orange is still the bane of this team's existence. Sometimes the game just wants to troll me. Okay. So, if people are not fully sold on Geld, I think one of the primary reasons is that there are just not a lot of green stacking teams to use. There's the first anniversary of Veldora team right here, and then there's the Idolmaster team, which doesn't need skill points. It's capped at 100, so like we don't need Geld on that team. And then the only other stacking green team is Overlord, with Overlord Rimuru, who is already giving the 100% to 500% skill point gain. So Geld is not really that useful there, because they don't stack together. It's not like you're going to get 1,000 points per green orb. No, that's not how it works. They're both giving a permanent buff, and they both cap out at 500. So you can use Geld 10 times all you want, but if you use Rimuru 5, you're already getting it, so it's equaling out. Here, I mean, we can do a green buff crit resistance down here with Shinsha, and then we can bring Geld in for Shinsha, and then change these 2 orbs right here, and then we're going to have 3 oranges still, so yeah, thanks a lot for that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Well, I don't think there was a way around it. Okay, cool. Again. It's like, oh yeah, if you get a multiple oranges for one character, alright, well, let's give them 5. Alright, next turn, let's give everybody 1 orange. I'm trying to do a showcase video here, game. You're really not helping. Really not helping. Okay, but even though we're only going to send 5 greens, we're still going to make all those points back. Right, we're at 65 of 190. We're going to make it all. Because of how many points we're actually getting. Actually, we're going to be, what, 1 point shy? 3 points shy. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Excuse me. we don't need a lot of points. And now that we have 100, almost 190, we can probably nuke here, right? 1, 2... Yeah, we could probably nuke Gazel down and not really worry about it. So let's just do that. And we can just end the fight. Because we have enough points now on turn 5 to do such a thing. We don't need to go to turn 8 to kill him. We're not going to get... oh, actually, we got sealed. Can we kill here? We're at 70% magic buff. And... we might. Look at the oranges, by the way. Oh, we didn't. Okay. Oh, well, maybe we will. Go, Shinsha. 22k. Oh, she crit. No, she wasn't sealed, that's why. Okay, so did Geld help us out here? Yeah, he gave us a lot more points than what we were going to have. If we didn't have that extra 100% skill point gain, we would not have gotten to 187 right there, which means we would not have been able to use all 3 of those buffs, which means we would not have been able to kill. So he hastened up our ability to finish this fight just by using his skill twice. And orb changing, what, once? Twice, maybe? Like, that's it. But Geld is a solid character. He just doesn't have a lot of green-focused teams that need him, because most green teams are burst-focused. They have ways of getting their own skill points. So he's not as necessary as I think he's going to be maybe in the future if they really start pushing green teams that are point-hungry. But the Protectors of Peace team definitely is a much better place with him, and he is going to be pretty much an irreplaceable unit on that team, because if you don't run him, you are severely lacking in skill points, especially with the skill reset and everything, and the team is only going to get more expensive with the 2 other meta units that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks or so. So he's going to be a fantastic option. Where did his greatsword go? Okay, whatever. But let me know what you guys think of this Geld. I think he is fairly solid. No, he's not tippity top S tier, but no, he's not F tier trash either. Where would you put him? But that's it for me. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.